Hey guys, in this video we're going to talk about a very popular comments that are floating around my comment section. It's about leaked plot points of the final season. Many of you seem to think it might be real, so let's take a look at it. The comment reads, spoiler alert, Valyrian Steel swords have all been engraved in Valyrian with instructions on how to end a long night, which are pieces of a poem. Each sword forged on the Iron Throne has instructions on how to prevent a long night by working together. Ned hid Dawn inside of the Iron Throne with other swords. Ned will be shown in a flashback hiding the sword before Robert storms in. Winterfell and all full-blooded Starks have to perish to end the long night for good. Them showing Winterfell Burning was an actual leak from the showrunners. Winterfell Burning will be in the last episode, not the third as we all thought. The Night King knows that Dawn has the final piece of the poem to end the long night. He's looking for the sword to destroy it, so he can exist forever with no threat of defeat. Sam discovers the swords have messages on them, and he learns that his father and brother died in a war. As he's reflecting on the Tarly name, he looks Heartsbane and notices the Valyrian inscriptions. Dany will have to translate all of the swords, as she is the only one fluent in Valyrian tongue in Westeros. We will learn that Dawn reads the night is dark and full of terror. When winter falls, it falls forever. Bronn will have to fight the mountain after all. He and Jaime get tasked with trying to steal Dawn off of the Iron Throne. He will decapitate the mountain, but he doesn't die there. Bronn will die at the hands of the mountain once they get back to Winterfell. The Hound kills the mountain later once the Night King turns the mountain into a White Walker. The Hound uses the flaming sword and defeats his brother. This is also where Jaime will choke Cersei to death. A Stark must be in Winterfell. This is due to the pact between men and the children and the others. If Winterfell is attacked, captured or threatened, the King of the Night will seek revenge. The pact was broken when Theon captured and Ramsay burned Winterfell and drove out the remaining Starks. Jon will defeat the Night King in the crypts with Littlefinger's dagger Catspaw. The Night King will then use Viserion to kill himself and Jon Snow, but Viserion will just end crushing himself and the Night King to death. Jon will rise from the rubble unburned and alive. Jon, Jorah, Jaime and the Hound will be the only main cast survivors. The Valyrians will come to Westeros from Atlantis to issue them new house names and new swords. They are tasked with passing down the truth to each generations to follow. Work together. Now it does sound interesting, but we don't know if this is just a fanfiction or a legit leak. However, many of you seem to think it might be real, and I have to admit, it sounds like nothing we've heard thus far. Since no one ever expected this to be the Night King's true motivation, as well as the Valyrian Steel swords having instructions of how to defeat the Night King engraved into it, some fans believe this to be a legit plot leak. Now let's analyze it, starting with the first point. Valyrian Steel swords have all been engraved in Valyrian, with instructions on how to end a long night, which are pieces of a poem. Along with Dragonglass, Valyrian Steel is one of the known substances that can kill White Walkers, and it allegedly contains instructions of how to defeat the Night King. Aside from its sharpness, strength and lightweight, Valyrian Steel is also recognizable by distinctive ripple pattern visible in blades made from it. Here this pattern is actually part of a poem that would end a long night. It then continues with each sword forged on the Iron Throne has instructions on how to prevent a long night by working together. Firstly, it says that Valyrian Steel swords have all been engraved in Valyrian with instructions on how to end a long night. And now it says that swords forged on the Iron Throne also have instructions, but not how to end it, but rather how to prevent it, by working together. Is this supposed to mean that the Iron Throne is made of Valyrian steel, or is it just a metaphor instructions working together as one? The Iron Throne is not made of Valyrian steel, but it could have become Valyrian steel in the process of its forging. The secret of forging Valyrian steel was lost in the Doom of Valyria, after which creating new Valyrian steel weapons became impossible. Stories claim that the metal was imbued with magic spells and forged with dragonfire. The Iron Throne was forged at the order of Aegon the Conqueror, the first of the Targaryen kings who conquered 6 of the 7 independent kingdoms of Westeros, and unified them under his rule. The 7th kingdom of Dorne was later joined through a marriage alliance. The throne was allegedly forged from 1,000 swords that had been surrendered to Aegon in the War of Conquest by the lords who had offered their fealty, although the actual number of the swords is less than 200. These were subsequently melted down by the fiery breath of Aegon's dragon, Balerion the Black Dread, then beaten and bent into a throne of imposing appearance. So the 200 blades Aegon used in its making were just ordinary steel, he then melted them down with dragonfire. Now let's get back to how many believe the Valyrian steel was made, with metal imbued with magic spells, blood magic and forged with dragonfire. Perhaps the Iron Throne became Valyrian steel during its forging, but that's just my thought. Anyways, in this alleged plot point, the Iron Throne is either Valyrian steel or it's just supposed to be a metaphor, prevent a long night by sticking together, working together. On to the next point, it says Ned hid Dawn inside of the Iron Throne with other swords. Ned will be shown in the flashback hiding the sword before Robert storms in, and the Night King knows Dawn has the final piece of the poem to end the long night. That's why he's marching south. He's looking for the sword to destroy it so he can exist forever with no threat of defeat. Some few months ago I theorized Dawn will be the weapon to end the Night King. The defeat of the Night King lies in the oldest, most famous, and most magical sword of Westeros, Dawn. The living would literally bring the dawn with dawn. Here it says that dawn would not literally be used to kill the Night King, but it rather contains the final piece of the poem to end the long night, which I like even more. No matter if this leak turns out to be real or not, I still believe that the legendary sword Dawn will play a big role in defeating the Night King and ending the long night, as I think it's the only weapon capable of killing the Night King and bringing in the dawn. Name of the sword being Dawn and the title it gives being the Sword of the Morning is what seals the deal for me. Its name and the title it gives, in my opinion, foreshadows that Dawn will in fact be used to kill the Night King by the new Sword of the Morning, who will end the long night, bring the new morning, or as Melisandre would say it, the prince that was promised will wield the sword Lightbringer and will bring the dawn. It also says that Winterfell and all full-blooded Starks have to perish to end the long night for good, and apparently them showing Winterfell Burning was an actual leak from the showrunners, and Winterfell Burning will in fact take place in the last episode, and not in the third as we all expected. I don't know what to think about this one. Leaked photos seem to suggest that the final battle will take place in King's Landing and not in Winterfell, but then again there's a slight chance of us being wrong, or even misled by a few fake scenes. However, I still believe Winterfell Burning will take place in episode 3, since the Night King is definitely conquering Winterfell in that episode. Again, I could be wrong and this plot point could be correct, but that's just my thought. It then says that Sam discovers the swords have messages on them and he learns that his father and brother died in a war. As he's reflecting on the Tarly name, he looks heartsbane and notices the Valyrian encryptions. This is the part I like the most and part I can actually see happening. If there's something engraved into Valyrian Steel, then it's definitely going to be Sam who'll find it out. Perhaps that is the real reason and the real importance of Sam taking the Valyrian sword of his family. Sam is not a fighter. Sam will not use it to kill White Walkers. He might give it to someone to use it in such way, like to Jorah for example, but the entire story of Sam taking Heartsbane just to give it to someone to fight the dead would not make much sense, nor would it give any importance to the story. Sam learning something from it, on the other hand, would do just the opposite. It would complete Sam taking Heartsbane's story, and it would serve as Sam's final and most important part that he has to play in the Great War. Here he discovers that the swords have messages on them, a poem which we learned is the poem to end the long night. Then it states that Dany will have to translate all of the swords, as she is the only one fluent in Valyrian tongue in Westeros. At the moment this is not correct, as both Melisandre who'll come back to Westeros and Missandei are also fluent in Valyrian in Westeros, but then again they might be dead at that point, leaving Dany the only one who can read it. We will learn that the final piece of poem, Dawn, reads, "The night is dark and full of terror, when winter falls it falls forever." The next point includes Bronn and the Mountain who will apparently fight. It says that Bronn and Jaime get tasked with trying to steal Dawn off of the Iron Throne. We always get to see these two on some missions, and to be honest, there's none better than Bronn and Jaime for this mission since none knows King's Landing and the Red Keep as these do. Allegedly, Bronn will decapitate the Mountain, but he doesn't die there, and the Mountain will in fact kill Bronn once they get back to Winterfell. The Hound kills the Mountain when the Night King turns the Mountain into a White Walker. The Hound uses Flaming Sword and defeats his brother. This is also where Jaime will choke Cersei to death. Here the Hound would finally overcome his fear of fire and burn his brother to death. This of course would have the story of the Clegane brothers come full circle. The Mountain is the one who burned the Hound, so it would be sort of a poetic justice to see the Hound get his vengeance by burning his brother. There's not much to say about Jaime killing Cersei that's not already been said in my previous videos. Jaime already realized who his sister truly is, and when she grows fully mad when she becomes the Mad Queen, Jaime will have to put an end to her and once again save thousands of innocent people. The next we learn why the Night King decided to march south for Dawn now, and it's allegedly because a Stark must always be in Winterfell. This is due to the pact between men and the children and the others. If Winterfell is attacked or captured, the King of the Night will seek revenge. The pact was broken when Theon captured and Ramsay burned Winterfell and drove out the remaining Starks. And finally we learn how it all ends. Jon defeats the Night King in the crypts with Catspaw. The Night King will then use Viserion to kill himself and Jon Snow along, but Jon Snow will rise from the rubble unburned and alive. We've already seen Jon burn in the very first season, and you already know my opinion when someone claims that Jon cannot burn. However, there's a huge amount of fans who believe Jon cannot burn anymore ever since his resurrection. Fans explain Jon dies as a Stark and rose as a Targaryen, which in my opinion still doesn't mean anything, since Targaryens can and do burn, all except for Dany, but I don't know. This plot point doesn't make sense to me, but that's just me. It finishes with stating that Jon, Jorah, Jaime and the Hound will be the only main cast survivors. The Valyrians will come to Westeros from Volantis to issue them new house names and new swords. They are tasked with passing down the truth to each of their generations to follow, work together. What happened to Dany, Tyrion, Bran, Sansa, Arya and everyone else? It did say that all the Starks had to perish for the long night to be over, but I cannot believe Jon would kill his siblings. I personally don't think this is how Game of Thrones will end. There might be some truth to this plot leak, but it's definitely not how all things will play out. Bran, for example, is not even mentioned, and he is the one who's the most important in bringing the Night King down. Also, there are too many main characters for Jon, Jorah, Jaime and the Hound being the only one left alive. In conclusion, this plot leak, in my opinion, might have some truth to it, but I really doubt all of this will happen, especially the way it ends. The points I could see happen are Dom being important in bringing the end to the Night King, Sam learning something of a huge importance, the Hound killing the Mountain with fire, Jaime killing Cersei, and some connection between the Starks of Winterfell and the Night King. Let me know your thoughts about this alleged leak in the comment section down below. Do you believe it's real or fake, and which points could you actually see happening? And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to subscribe to our channel, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.